Hey, everybody. Welcome to my happy place, and welcome to the maiden voyage of Quilting with Kathy. I am so happy to have you here, and I want to welcome each of you as we come in and take a look each week at different templates. Now, what I have done, in case you didn't see it, I've got my basket here, and my little basket has little papers with every template that I own on it. And before we're done tonight, we'll go ahead and pick the template that we'll be featuring next week. This is going to be a weekly spot for me, and each week we're going to explore a template or a ruler and maybe learn a little bit about it. Hopefully you have some of the templates and you can quilt along with me. And if you don't, that's okay. You might find some ideas for one that you really want to purchase for future use. So today we have got Strand of Pearls. Our strand of pearls comes in a 1/2 inch pearl, and it comes in a 1 inch pearl. Now, there are a set of 5 templates in each bag. The templates are pretty much the same size as far as the inches away from the center of our design. I'll show you a little more about that in a minute. But what I wanted to talk about first is the difference between the 1 inch pearls and the 1/2 inch pearls. Now, that doesn't mean they're 1 inch and 1/2 inch away from the center. What we're going to be looking at is, and I'm just going to bring this over here and show you, this is the 1 inch pearl. And this is the 1/2 inch pearl. So we're going to take a look at some different ways to use these templates tonight and how beautiful they stitch out. They really stitch out beautifully. So we've got a couple different things we're going to try. I tried this. I love this. I could see using this with our Inktense pencils and making rainbows out of it. I just love that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the templates themselves, okay? One other thing I wanted to mention to you also, and I'm going to do it before I forget, is these templates come in a set of 5 for each the 1 inch and the 1/2 inch pearls. You can order them separately, okay? What I found very early on in my ruler work career, so to speak, is that I would order a template because it was the size I needed for a particular project. And once I got that template and I got home and opened it up and looked at it, I went, "Oh, man, I wish I had the next size up because I could do this with it, or I could do that with it." And if you're going to go ahead and end up, for example, with these, with all 5 templates, if you end up purchasing those separately, it's gonna come to more money than if you purchase them all in the set. My personal belief is the value of getting the set is definitely worth it. With this strand of pearls, um, I wouldn't go with just one. I would go with a 1/2 inch and 1 inch. You know, if you can't afford them both this month, no big deal. Get one next month. Okay. Now, I want to show you how this is set up. And I want to show you the difference between the 1/2 inch and the 1 inch pearls. Okay. First thing you're going to notice right away, and that is this part of the template here and this part of the template here, both inside curves, which is awesome because I truly believe inside curves are easier to start with. So when I look at this as a template that a beginner could use and be successful with. So what we've got is our larger opening is always going to be our 1-inch purl because we need that much room to make the 1-inch circle. And our smaller template is going to be our 1/2-inch purl. Now, most of these templates come with 2 sizes per template. There are some, for example, here is one of the 1-inch strand of pearls, and this is a 10.5 inch, and it only comes with one size on this particular template. No worries. We're going to be able to use any and all of these that we have with the set. What is important? What is important is noticing the left side and the right side lines. Having the middle line to line up is always a good thing, but what we're going to do tonight, and we are going to be concerned more with these lines. Now, the important thing is, where do those lines go? What they do is they congregate right there. And you know what we're going to put in there? We are going to put, well, if my hands will work, we're going to put our tack in there. Well, come on, you. I know I can do this. I did it earlier. There we go. Okay, so we're going to put our tack in there. Obviously, we're going to have our fabric in there, and we're going to make circles with this. Very efficient, very decorative, and very easy. The important thing is when you're using, for example, on this 1-inch purl, we have a 4.5 inch and a 9.5 inch. And what that means is the design from edge to edge will be 9.5 inches. So half of our design will be 4 3/4 inches. So from here to here is 4 3/4 inches. Now, if we were to come and put this tack in this hole, we wouldn't be able to come up with a cohesive circle because that's the wrong hole. These are the lines that lead to this hole, and those are the 4.5 inch size. So we want to always make sure that we're putting that tack in where the two lines meet. So for the 4.5 inch, they meet here. And for the 9.5 inch, they meet here. And they have this really nice straight horizontal line in here also. So we have our vertical center, and this is our pivot point. This is not the center, it's the pivot point, I call it. Technically, it is the center because we're going to pivot around there. But by thinking of it as a pivot point, I think that that will help you to remember that this is a circular design. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set these up here now that we've had a chance to look at them. And what I want to do is ask you if you have any questions. Patsy, happy to learn how to use this template. Well, good. I'm glad that you're here. And I hope that we can definitely give you the confidence to be able to use them effectively. Wanda says hi from across town. Hi, Wanda. It's always good to see you. Okay. Oh, thank you, Lois. I'm very happy that you're here. Um, we have, oh, Jan, good to see you. Yes, I got your email this morning. Colorado, Michigan, Judy P. Oh my goodness, I wonder if that's my Judy P. And Debbie Poole. Oh, guys, I'm so happy to have you all here. Linda, good to see you. Hi, Nancy. I'm glad you made it. I don't have anybody here tonight helping me with comments. So if you have a question and I don't see it, I apologize. I will go back and look at all of the comments later. Hi, Mary. Hey, have you guys got lots of snow up there still? Ours is gone down here. I am so happy to see so many of my friends on here. You guys rock, honestly. I'm so excited. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's talk about marking our fabric. Okay, I'm just going to get these out of the way a little bit. And, I want to show you what I did here. I have a crosshair ruler that's a 24-point crosshair ruler. Can you do it with that? Yep, I certainly did. And oh, sorry, Jan, no, it's a string of pearls today. This is absolutely applicable to the Spring of Hearts. The only thing that's going to change is this shape up here, Jan. So you're in the right spot, okay? Okay. So what I did was I put the 24-point crosshair ruler on here, and I wanted to see if I could do it. Okay. Basically, because all the instructions were more or less using an 8-point and a derivative thereof. So I always look at instructions first. Definitely look at your instructions. And what these instructions showed me was all these different sizes that can be made with a space between the circles, a smaller space, and no space between the circles. Also shows that you could have your circles or your pearls on the inside as well as on the outside. And I thought this was really an interesting design. You know what it reminds me of? A bicycle wheel, the spokes of a bike. So when I started reading, it's telling me to begin by marking 16 or 32 crosshair reference lines. Well, many of you probably don't know this about me, but if you do, I'm a rebel. If somebody says do it this way, I'm going to try and do it the other way. So anyway, that's why I brought out my 24 reference line crosshair ruler, and it's doable. It's just a little different. So what I've got here is I came along the bottom with 2 different sizes. And that's the first thing that I want to show you here. So let me grab my little practice. And where did it go? Here it is. Whoops. And I just dropped one. Okay. This is telling me everything I need to know. It's the 1/2-inch pearls. And I've got a 3.5 and a 10.5-inch strand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my 1-inch pearls. Excuse me. And again, I'm going to get my 10.5-inch strand. Okay. Now, what is interesting is you want to line these up and you'll see the difference between the two. Okay. So if we did this one, we're going to be coming at it from even on top. Where with this one, where it's even on the bottom, I actually had to go to a size smaller. Okay. but I'm gonna go ahead and go on the top this time. I just wanna give you a very cursory, this is how you do it kind of thing, and we're gonna go ahead and do 16 reference lines. I'm going to put my tack in, and this is just a piece of fabric that I had left over from a project of mine. So I figured, well, I'll use it up. And that is how I do usually testing out designs is I just save my scraps. The other thing I do, and I mentioned it earlier today, that a lot of times I'll take and put a really cheap muslin on the back of my practice piece because it's cheap. I don't have to worry about if I wreck fabric or if I have a fabric that I needed for a project and I used some of it, and that would never be good because then I have to worry if I've got enough left over. So here we're going to line this up. Here is that center tack. When we line this up, and this is a 16 point reference, 16 reference lines here. What I want you to see is that you can line it up with your reference line in the center. And if you do that, what's going to happen is your pearls are going to be between the reference lines. They're not going to be on the reference lines. This time I want to make them on the reference lines. So what I want to do, and this is another decision that needs to be made, do you want them connecting at the bottom or do you want them connecting at the top? And you'll see here I did both, right? I really like this look. I'm thinking with a little spin effects in the center here, what a darling little piece that would be for putting in maybe a 5-6 inch block. I think it would work beautifully. So what I'm going to do is, because I line these two up like this, and you see that both of them are equal up here. So what I want to do is I want to connect them at the top. If I wanted to connect them at the bottom, I would get a smaller template to do that. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead, and I have got, as I'm facing this, I have got the right side etched line on my reference line. Okay, I'll make sure I say that right. Okay, in we go. And I'm going to pull that thread up. Normally I like to put the thread underneath my template, but I'm not going to worry about that tonight because this is just practice. One other thing I should mention is it's always a good idea when you're working with these templates to extend your reference lines just a little bit, okay? So here we go. Get the old shoe off so that I can really feel that foot pedal. Now, as I was practicing with this, and yes, I do practice before I teach or before I present something, what I found was it was very, very beneficial to take my time, slow down, and make smaller stitches. They really look just a whole lot smoother. Our machines can only stitch a straight line, right? It can't stitch a curved line. So in order for the curve to be nice and smooth, what we need to do is make smaller stitches. Okay, so I've come around and you can see I've got this left line on my reference line there. I slipped just a little bit, but I'm not gonna worry about this. It's just practice, and I'm going to stop on that line. So it's just kind of a really cool shape just like that. But in order for me to get to where I need to go, and I'm gonna pull this out to show you. There we go. So what I've got is that cute little shape there. I'm going to go ahead, and I thought I pulled these lines out far enough, but I didn't, and that's okay. This is how you can do it after the fact, and it works just fine. I don't know how many of you use the Ultimate Pounce powder in a clover chalk liner. I find that I really, really like this simply because this little dolphin nose tip, I call it, it fits so well into our crosshair rulers. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just snip that off. How we doing? Okay, good. Good. Well, I'm glad you made it, Dee. I wouldn't want you to miss it. This is our maiden voyage tonight. And you know what? Truthfully, yeah, I get a little nervous sometimes when I'm doing something for the first time. And you know what? Tonight's no different. So, you guys seen all your familiar faces here or names? It's really helping me to feel a lot more comfortable. And I just appreciate you being here. Okay, so what I finished up here on the left side, now I'm going to make the right side touch that reference line. And this is just reference line number 2, and the left side will line up on reference line number 3. So again, I'm going to get a slow start here because I make toe catchers. And I know that you all know what that means. And if I don't slow down and take that first stitch in place, it can get kind of ugly. Okay, I'm just going to move this around here because I want you guys to see better. Make sure you've got a good view of what I'm doing here. There we go, lining up that reference line with the line on the template to the left. And we're going to come around and stop there. And now we're just going to continue twisting that template, lining up reference line number 4, reference line number 3 and number 4, I'm sorry. And again, taking that first stitch in place, keeping my stitches nice and small. Somebody today on something I was watching apologized for stitching so slowly. And my thought when I heard that was, oh no, don't ever apologize for that. It's a good lesson for us all to just take our time and enjoy the journey. There's probably a few people watching right now who cringed when I said that because I'm always telling everybody, just don't hurry, just enjoy the journey. So here we go. Gonna do another one, coming around and go to our next reference line. Okay, and I'm gonna make half of a purl. And remember, this is my 1-inch purl. And I'm going to make one more for you. Okay. And around we go. Isn't that beautiful? I just love this. And I see so many opportunities for this. Oh, get that out of the way. Doesn't belong there, right? Okay, so I'm just going to stop there, clip my threads off because, as I said, this is just a practice piece. And what you're probably noticing right now is I don't even have fabric on the back. And that's not something I recommend, to be honest with you. I think it's always a good idea to have some kind of fabric on the back. So here we've got a partial strand of pearls. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 1/2 inch pearl and I am going to slip it over the tack. And what you're going to see is we are 1/4 inch away from where we're going to stitch, right? So we're going to be stitching right on this line that we already stitched on to get from one reference line to another. And we're going to be stitching a smaller purl inside. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull my thread up. There we go. Love this. I absolutely love this. Okay, now, if you're like me, you're going to want to just double check. Make sure you're exactly where you need to be, which I am. And around we're going to go. The only place that this is really going to meet, other than between the pearls, is right at the top. I'm just going to make sure that I haven't slipped too much. There we go. And here we go, around, and again, we're going to stop on that reference line because that's halfway through our purl. Now we're just going to twist that template. I'm going to get rid of that thread. Line up on our pointed reference lines. Here's the second half of the purl. And now we're heading over to make on the first half of the next purl. And we're going to stop on our reference line again. So each time we stitch this, we're stitching a half and a half of a purl. And then when we move it over, we finish the first purl and we stitch a second half of a purl. Oh, good, Kathy. I'm glad. I'm glad. Oh, no, I do have stable tape, Marcia. Let me show you where my stable tape is. It's here and here, and it's up here and here. So this is the way that I tend to hold it when I'm working on it, not demonstrating it because I don't want my hands in your way. And then I also have the staple tape on the bottom. So I always like to make sure that I've got the staple tape where my hand is going to be. And if you haven't tried them yet, and what did I do with mine? Here they are. We have staple tape dots now. It is so much easier not to have to cut up those strips and, try and get them even size and stuff. And there's a lot of them in here. There's 72 dots, and then there's also a bag that you can get 36 dots in. So you definitely look for that at your local quilt shop, okay? Excuse me. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn this so you can get a better look at it. I'm trying to make sure you're catching it from each angle. And around we go to finish our purl. And I'm going to go over and put the first half of the next purl in. We're going to twist the template again, making sure we stay lined up on those reference lines. Now, if you're going to use a reference line that's not a multiple of 8, then what you might have to do is you might have to move this over as you're stitching. It really is not difficult to do. It is easily done, so don't let that scare you, okay? And we're going to finish up our last one here on this side. Again, making sure I'm lined up correctly. And you'll see that the staple tape is over my or under where my fingers are located. That is just for me the best way of doing it. And we're going to make our half of a purl here and stop. Okay. And here we've got a string of pearls within a purl. And there we go. Isn't that fun? These are awesome little frames that you can do other things inside of too. I just find them to be useful for that. And the string of hearts, the string of diamonds, they all work the same. Okay, so we've got that one done. Now to do this one, basically I did the same thing, except, and I'm going to show you, when I came around on the 10.5 inch here, the big one, rather than going across the top, I came across the bottom. So how do we do that? Well, that's actually not too difficult, because what we're going to do is we're going to start at the top and stitch to the bottom and across to the next reference line. Okay, I'm just going to move that one out of the way. There we go. So this way we will have a line on the top and on the bottom. Pull that thread up again, making sure that I have the edged line of my template lined up on my crosshair, my reference line. Okay, so here we go. And we're going to go to the bottom. Okay, I'm going to let go of those threads and come back up, and I'm going to stop on my reference line right there. Okay, get that thread out of the way, and I'm going to again twist that template until it's lined up perfectly on that reference line. And I'm going to make the second half of my purl. And this one, you see, I don't have staple tape on, and it wants to be moving on me. So that's why we need our staple tape. I didn't plan on using this one tonight, but that's okay. It's working just fine. Okay, now I've twisted my template so that I can make the left half of the purl to complete it. And then we're going to come over and we're going to stitch the right half, stop on our reference line, and I wavered on that one. I'm not going to worry about it. This is practice. Remember, you can see really clearly how I wavered on it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, take this one out, and this is my 1-inch purl. Just clip my threads off here. Get rid of those. can always tell a quilter because when you go to the grocery store, I've always got thread tails on my shirt. Okay, so now we're going to come in and we're going to put the 1/2-inch purl on. I'm going to pull my thread up. There we go. And you'll see it starts exactly at the same spot that my other one did. Whoops. Nope, it shouldn't. It shouldn't start there. We want to stitch this one from the bottom up. And what that's going to do is that's going to make it so that we travel to the next purl up on this edge. Okay. And when you see how beautiful that is, it's so simple, yet it's just stunning when it's done. I'm going to hold my threads back because I don't like thread nests. I've got the left side of my template on my crosshair, my reference line number 1, and the right side on reference line number 2. So here we go, a stitch in place, come around, and now you're going to see how beautiful that second purl is going to fit into the first one. There we go. Go ahead and get that out of the way. Remember to be very careful that you're getting that tag in the reference, in the correct spot where your reference lines line up. Okay. Oops, dropped another one. That's okay. Just gonna just kind of flatten everything out here. There we go. And now we're going to go across the top. Stop and reposition my hands because it's easier. And make my half circle and come to the bottom. And I'm going to twist my template yet again. Make sure I'm lined up on my reference lines. And off we go. Now this one isn't going to look so good because I really came off of the template on this one. But you know what? I'd much rather do that on a practice piece than on a real one because now I can think about how that happened and I can make sure it doesn't happen again. Hopefully. Yeah. Okay, so there we go. It's kind of a double circle and we have the pearls, large and small, small pearls inside the large ones. I love this look. I really do. I think it's awesome. Now, if we really wanted to, we could come back and get the next size smaller 1/2-inch pearl and put it here. If I had time tonight, I would be happy to do that, but I don't. Well, if you guys are going to stick with me, I'm going to show you how we do it. I'll just do it on a couple of them. So this was a 10.5. So let's try. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't try this before. Okay. I'm just thinking it's going to work. Okay, there we go. This is how we come up with things sometimes, literally on the fly. And I'm going to make sure, and you know what? It's going to work. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, see here, I want to make sure that I've got that 1/4 inch, and that's what it is. It's a 1/4 inch. And this is a 1/4 of an inch away from my template. This is going to be cool, guys. Okay, I'm really excited about this because I just thought it up. I love when something comes up like that. Judy, you're sticking with me. Cool. Oh, Nancy, this is awesome. Yeah. I'm really glad that you're going to be able to use this with your string of hearts, string of diamonds, string of pearls. We can use it with anything. Debs, thanks for sticking with me, kid. You're always there for me. I really appreciate you. Okay, so here we go. One stitch in place. Remember, the first one is only half of the pearl. Now we're going to come down. I'm going to apologize for my dog. She thinks I'm in here talking to someone. And we're going to come over this way. I don't know if my husband's watching or not, but if he is, I would love it if he'd come to get the dog. Okay, so now I've twisted my template. And we're going to get the other side of the pearl. We're going to stitch along that bottom, and we're going to put a half a pearl in. Stop at the reference line. We're going to go ahead and we're going to twist that template again, turn it, and do another half of a pearl and twist that template, and this will be our final pearl for this one. Okay, let's see what we got. I love it. Look at that. It is so cute, isn't it? If you look at it this way, it looks like a smiley face with sunglasses on. I'm sure that's not what it is. Okay, so there's just another idea of something that we can do with our string of pearls. I really do like that. What do you guys think? Okay, Kendra, good. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, the string of hearts is pretty too, Alice. Correct, Donna. It's my dog wants to play ball. So she's just going to have to wait because you guys come first. Okay, so we've got a couple little ideas here to go. And if you want to stick with me, this is the one that I'm really excited to show you, okay? Thank you, Dee. Appreciate it. Alice, Mary, Donna, thank you, you guys. You really make my day. I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you're liking it. This is something I've been wanting to do for some time. I've talked about it and it came up and we decided now is the time. So I appreciate very much Stacy allowing me the platform to do this. And each week we'll be here with a new template. There may be a week or two here that maybe I can't make it, but we'll see about getting something recorded ahead of time if I have to be gone. Okay, so for this one, I am going to use my 1/2-inch pearls. Okay, probably not going to get that big. So I'm going to start pulling my templates out. I'm going to start with, well, where's the one? There it is. I'm going to start with a 3.5-inch. Okay, you're going to love how this builds upon itself. I think this is so cool. And yes, I do have staple tape on these. Okay, again, I cannot emphasize this enough, guys. When you've got these two lines, they meet at the tack hole right here. That is for this side of the template. If these two lines meet at this hole, it is for this side of the template. Just follow those lines down and you will know for sure which one you need to use. I'm going to start with the 3.5 inch. So I'm going to make sure that I've got everything in here correctly. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line up my left line, and I want to make the travel come on the bottom side of each successive line. Okay, there we go. Pull it up. And I apologize if I hit this camera every now and again. I'm trying a different one tonight, and I've got to say, I really like the way it looks. Okay, there we go. Taking that one stitch in place, keeping my stitches rather small, and coming up and getting the second half in place. Let's get rid of this thread. There we go. Twist. Perfect. And the second half of our purl, travel to the next reference line and back to the top. Twist. Second half of our purl, stitch to the next reference line, put the first half in, stop, and twist. I'm not chubby checker, but I sure do twist a lot. Oh, that was a bad thing. I shouldn't have, that was terrible. Sometimes I try to be funny and I think to myself, what did I just say that for? But, chubby checker, the twist. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to twist that template so that we line up these reference lines. Again, remembering to keep those stitches a little bit smaller because they will give you a smoother circle. And that's something that I like to try and do whenever I'm working with an arc or a circle or anything. I have yet to find a sewing machine that can stitch a curved stitch. They all stitch straight ones. Okay, and one more time, we're going to go. And we're going to stop right there. Okay. Now I'm going to come out. I'm going to take this template off. Okay, so there's our first circle. We're pretending it goes all the way around. Oh, what tension do I use? Nilda, it varies. It's not always exactly the same. But I've got it set between 1 and 2 right now. And if you look up here, you'll see that I'm using a vintage machine, does nothing but straight forwards and backwards. However, it is the best machine ever for ruler and template quilting. I use it daily. Okay, so that was my 3.5 inch. So now I'm coming up, I'm going to put my 4.5 inch on, making sure that the tack goes into the right hole. There we go. Get these kind of out of the way so they don't all end up on the floor, which could easily happen. Okay, I'm going to line up my left side here, put my foot down, pull my bobbin thread up. Now, with this particular machine, and probably a lot of the machines you all have out there, we have to remember to put our foot down before we put the needle down, especially if you've got a button to to lower that needle down, because you don't want to have your needle crashing into the ruler foot. That's never a good thing. Okay, so there's our first half. We're going to come around and we're going to put the first half on the right. Make sure you leave your needle down, because when you lift your hands off of that template, it's easy to get things cattywampus. That's a technical term. It's definitely a technical sewing term. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to finish the first purl, and I'm going to go ahead and put the first half of the second one in. I'm going to twist that template, make sure it's lined up on my reference line. Take that first stitch in place and stitch over to get the first half of the next purl in. Okay, and down we go. If you don't have control over the machine, it will go in places you don't want it to, and that's never a good thing. Here we go. I can see this being done with different sizes. I just think this is the coolest way to stitch these out. And those of you who have been with me a while know that I do like to sometimes color in my fabric with Inktense pencils. And I can just see a whole plethora of ideas that I can do with my pencils with this particular design. Okay, and this will be our last one. Now remember, I did the first one with the 3.5 inch. This is the 4.5 inch. And then we're going to go to the 5.5 inch. And you can get as big or stay as small as you want to with this. Okay. So you would just continue to keep working. I'm just going to put this one out there instead of continuing, because I don't want to keep you guys all night. And that is what we come out with. But they're bigger template on one than the other. It's actually 1 inch heart and 1/2 inch on the other end. Okay, that's very possible, Jan. Yeah, I'd have to look at mine. Oh, the colored pencils, Linda, they do work on colored fabric, not as good as if they were on plain ivory fabric or something like that. So, if there are there any more questions? I'm up all night. Yes, I know, Linda. I feel like I am some nights too. Good. I'm glad you guys are liking it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move this camera up just a bit so that we can pick what template we're going to learn about next Tuesday. Does anybody have a particular hope of what we're going to pick, or a particular template that you want to see demonstrated? Thank you, Kendra. Linda, don't forget, if you're going to use the colored pencils, yes, Lois, yes, you can. Yeah, you can start with the second half first and go in the other direction. That's not a problem. Okay, are we ready to see what we're going to get next week? Let's take a look. I'm not looking. And I don't have Nancy here to help me pick either. Okay, so I got 2 of them. I only want one. and it is going to be the Curvy Diamond. This is a Donna McCulley quilting, and the curvy diamond is awesome because it can be used for an all-over design. It can be used as a border design. It can be used in several different ways. So I'm glad that's the one we're going to do next week. So what I'll do is I will make sure that we get this on the Sew Steady page, and you guys will know if you've got it, please grab it, bring it out with you, and that is what we will look at. I just want to say how much I really appreciate everybody being here with me. This is a project that I've been wanting to do for some time. Stacy said go for it, and I'm glad she did, because I get to come and hang out with you guys, which is a lot of fun. So if there's no other questions, you're welcome, Gloria. I will, Kendra, you as well. I will say goodnight, and I will be looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, and 4 p.m. Pacific time. And if you have anything that you want to talk about before then, just go ahead. You can text me, email me, whatever. I'll get back to you. So until we meet again, let's quilt.